Breaking news as we go on the air. Memphis freshman James Wiseman, the projected #1 pick in the 2020 NBA draft, has been declared ineligible. The NCAA had said that Wiseman was ineligible after receiving improper benefits.
Like Zion Williamson last year, James Wiseman is this year's potential #1 overall pick. And whatever he lacks in the hype that Zion Williamson received, he makes up for in sheer and utter controversy. Today we're going to discuss James Wiseman, the basketball player, but we're also going to delve into the controversy that is surrounding him at the University of Memphis, because it's a very incredible story that dates all the way back to the year of 2008. So yes, this story has been going on since James Wiseman was a 7-year-old. But before I could get into how James Wiseman even got into basketball, how James Wiseman got into this situation, we're gonna have to give a brief shout out to our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. For those of you guys that don't know, Raid is a turn-based RPG that's done right. It gives you the sensation of the mobile world, and it's the RPG that changes everything. It's very popular. There's been over 15 million downloads in the last 6 months. So what is Raid? It's an epic dark fantasy done correctly. A hero collection turn-based game with over 400 champions for you to collect. They just have such phenomenal mechanics, guys. Like, check this out. You could set battles to run in auto mode, and you could battle while you go do something else. So you spend less time grinding and more time developing your teams and fighting the fun stuff. Not to mention, guys, it has crazy good reviews, and there's been over 107,000 reviews on the App Store for Raid. And the most important part for me, and this is the reason I used to never mess with mobile games up until Raid, the graphics look like they're PS4 graphics, man. And the game is as deep as a console game as well. And what I mean by that is there are weekly tournaments and events where you can compete and win prizes every week. And the team that made Raid is so cool, guys. Like, check out this awesome roadmap that they've published. They have huge plans for updates in this game for over the next 6 months. So there's gonna be tons of content coming in. And you could play against others in PvP, which personally is a big deal to me because I need to prove that I'm the best. The reason I'm promoting this game, guys, is I felt like it was a really cool way to play a mobile game with you guys. So as soon as you download this game, hit me up on Twitter and I'm going to try to add you into a clan so we could go kick some ass against some other people. I'm going to leave a link to download Raid Shadow Legends in the description down below. If you use my link, you'll get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion to start your journey. James Wiseman was born in Nashville, Tennessee, very close to Memphis, where he would end up going to college. Just like many other of today's NBA prospects, he was part of the AAU circuit, and in 2017, he would eventually become united with his potential head coach, Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway went to Memphis in 1991 to 1993, and he eventually would get picked #3 overall in the 1993 NBA draft, right after Chris Webber and Sean Bradley. But he would get traded for Chris Webber, who was the #1 overall pick, to the Orlando Magic to form a phenomenal tandem and give Shaquille O'Neal the teammate that he has been missing all of those years. And unfortunately for Penny, these next 6 years from 1993 to 99 would be probably his best years. To give you an idea of how good Penny was, in only his 2nd year for the Orlando Magic, who by the way were just in their 2nd year of inception, this is an expansion team we're talking about, he averaged 21 points, 7 assists, 1.7 steals, and 4 rebounds per game off of 51% shooting. But that's not what today's video is about. The fact of the matter is, Penny went to Memphis and he played a huge role in recruiting James Wiseman. Now you might be wondering how that could be. Well, it all started in 2008. Immediately after Penny Hardaway retired, he decided to donate $1 million to the University of Memphis for the completion of the Penny Hardaway Hall of Fame. The irony of this donation cannot be lost in this situation, because Hardaway donated $1 million in 2008, 11 years before he became the coach of Memphis. So fast forward to 2016, and Memphis's head coach Josh Pastner decides to accept the head coaching gig at Georgia Tech. Memphis responds to this by hiring Tubby Smith.
It is official. 64-year-old legendary coach Orlando Tubby Smith will lead the Tigers as the 18th head coach of the University of Memphis men's basketball program.
More than a year and a half later, in August of 2017, this is where James Wiseman gets into the picture. Wiseman moves from his hometown of Nashville to Memphis, transferring from the prestigious Ensworth High School to East High School to finish his high school career. Now, this is pretty interesting because if you are a potential NBA draft prospect, if you're starting to garner the hype that you are, which at the time James Wiseman was completely dominating the competition as a high school basketball player. He was crushing it in the AAU circuit and his name was beginning to circulate. Now, this move is pretty much the centerpiece of the argument for why the NCAA is saying that James Wiseman is ineligible for this upcoming NCAA season. And it's the fact of the matter that apparently Penny Hardaway paid about $11,500 to assist the Wiseman family with their move to Memphis. And the reason why this is so shady is because before this all happened, before Penny assisted the Wiseman family at all, James Wiseman was really considering signing his letter of intent to play with Kentucky, and I could not blame him for doing so. Kentucky has already had a pedigree of grooming potential #1 overall big men into even having very successful careers. Off the top of my head, you could already think of Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, and Karl Anthony Towns. So you could understand that John Calipari, the head coach of the University of Kentucky, and Kentucky kind of had issue with this entire situation. And after several months of interviews and after a review of documentation, it was determined in the summer of 2017, while James was a high school student and prospective student athlete, Penny Hardaway provided $11,500 in moving expenses to assist the Wiseman family in their relocation to Memphis, unbeknownst to James, according to the statement from the University of Memphis. Now, this sounds a little sketchy in my opinion. You're telling me that Penny Hardaway showed up at the Wiseman door and said, "Hey guys, I will pay you $11,500 to help you with your move," and James Wiseman knew nothing about it? I really find that personally, I apologize for giving you guys my opinion as opposed to the whole story, I find that to be a little shady. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. But in March of 2018, the University of Memphis would fire their head coach, Tubby Smith, after 2 seasons and a combined 40-26 record, missing the NCAA tournament in both of those years. Less than a week after firing Smith, Memphis hired Penny Hardaway to take over. But in the months of September to November 2018, Wiseman would take multiple unofficial visits, and he would take official visits to Kentucky, Kansas, Vanderbilt, and Florida State. Wiseman would wrap up his visits with an official trip to Memphis on October 26th, and then Wiseman would then make his commitment to the University of Memphis on November 20th and would sign 9 days later on the 29th.
After a long thoughtful consideration, I will be attending the University of Memphis.
If you fast forward to May 29, 2019, according to a statement released by the University of Memphis, James Wiseman was actually declared eligible by the NCAA in May of 2019 following a joint standard eligibility review by the university and the NCAA. So in the very beginning, the NCAA reviewed the entire situation and said, okay, this situation's cool. We're a fairly shady organization anyways. We could kind of let this slip through the cracks because he is a very high-ranking prospect. On Halloween of 2019, the NCAA would send a letter to the University of Memphis notifying them of their more recent interpretation of bylaws. 1 week later, on November 5th, 2019, the University of Memphis would receive a letter from the NCAA stating that due to their new interpretation of bylaws and resulting in recruiting violations, James Wiseman would now be deemed ineligible. According to this situation, Wiseman did not engage in legal counsel to file a temporary restraining order and sue the NCAA and the University of Memphis until Thursday, November 7th, the day prior to the announcement of the NCAA's decision. The very next day, through his legal counsel, Wiseman would announce that the NCAA ruled him ineligible. And standing alongside his counsel and head coach Penny Hardaway, Wiseman filed an injunction late in the day, approximately an hour prior to the Tigers' tip against the University of Illinois, Chicago. The local court granted the injunction, and the University of Memphis allowed Wiseman to play. The 7'1" center finished the game with 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 blocks in only 25 minutes of play. And this is kind of weird and ironic because earlier in the day, Ohio State's star defensive end Chase Young was also suspended by the NCAA for accepting a loan from a family friend that was reportedly paid back in full. And it's really interesting because it's very similar to the Wiseman situation. Now, if you fast forward to just more recently, a couple days ago, on November 14, 2019, Wiseman and his legal team were voluntarily non-suiting the case, which means that they were dropping their lawsuit against the NCAA. With Chase Young's suspension being reduced from 4 games to 2 games as well, Wiseman and his legal team feel like they can work out a similar compromise with the NCAA. And that's pretty much where we stand right now. In order to really show good faith in the NCAA, the University of Memphis also announced that Wiseman would be ineligible this season. Wiseman already applied for reinstatement, and there are still no details about a potential suspension for the 7'1" center, but the University of Memphis actually released a statement regarding Wiseman and his eligibility, saying in order to move the matter forward, the university has declared Wiseman ineligible for competition and will immediately apply for his reinstatement. Pending that notification, James will be withheld from competition but will continue to practice with the team. The NCAA is fully aware of the unique nature and challenges in this particular case, and the university is confident that the NCAA will render a fair and equitable decision consistent with its mission. To summarize the situation, a Memphis Hall of Famer, or a Memphis Tigers legend, Penny Hardaway, decided to donate money to Memphis a while ago and eventually would help James Wiseman move his entire family from Nashville to Memphis before accepting the job at Memphis. So this was seen as pretty shady, and in my opinion, it does sound pretty shady. When it comes to James Wiseman as the prospect, however, I had to just mention this, and I know I might get destroyed in the comments, so let me know if you agree with me or disagree with me. I don't think he should be the #1 overall pick in this year's draft, not because of the way he's been treated, but just because of his skill set. Currently, James Wiseman's game, so far based off of what I've seen, is very based off of the post. He has phenomenal footwork, and he kind of reminds me of Joel Embiid to a lesser degree, though. It's a significantly lesser degree, but that's kind of what people are going for. At least that's the best case scenario in regards to his post game. However, his game resembles more, he's getting the comparison to Nikola Vucevic a lot because his game is so raw. He could dominate inside, but he doesn't really have an outside game. And to be a dominant center in today's NBA, you need to be able to hit the outside shot. So why would you want to spend a top 5 pick on a player that could only dominate inside, is still fairly raw as a prospect, is still going to need to be developed, and cannot hit the perimeter jumper? I would much rather take one of the more exciting guards, as in Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball, with my #1 overall pick. But that's just things based off of how they stand right now. I just see a lot of Jahlil Okafor in James Wiseman, and that is who I'm going to pretty much compare him to until further notice. I think he's just Jahlil Okafor with way better defense and a way better ability to grab rebounds. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think, and if maybe there's something that I'm missing about James Wiseman here that you guys can make me privy about. If you guys enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe or click on this video on your screen to check out one of my other videos.